Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the XTransbots Janssen and the FansToys Tesla 2.0. Now, this is not a versus video, it's more of a simultaneous review discussing both of these. I did get both of these at ShowZ, and you can get yours there too. I'll have a link down below. But let's get into looking at both of these guys and the pluses and minuses coming up. So here's the packaging between the two, and looking at this is a much taller packaging, but thinner, so just about the same volume, I guess, for each one. This does look a little bit more like something that you'd have for Takara, but they both look like they'd fit with Takara on the shelf and all that kind of stuff. We do have some interesting readings and stuff going on over here, and we got a lot of pictures, but it's more like fantasy artwork going on XTransbots and just pictures of the product on the FansToys. And so still good packaging, good box. They both feel very high quality. So right out of the box, I think you just have to flip his hands around and then he's pretty much good to go for the XTransbots. FansToys, you gotta do a couple things. You have to slide on this, on, which I'm fine with that. That's actually probably a good idea to ship it like that. But it's strange because you have these treads here, and the treads, so as you can see, I did one side, so we'll just do the other and basically flip the tread around. You have to untab that. I just did it off camera there. Don't want to scratch these guys. They are both very well painted. So anyway, there's going to be a tab right here. Tab that in. I think this is plastic, which I think is probably smart because that's going to be doing a lot of tabbing in and stuff. So there we go. So little bit of setup, not a lot. I think actually with his heels, I didn't do his heels yet either. And his heels need some work, like so. Yeah, that's the other thing, is his heels. So a little bit more to do on the FansToys. I mean, not that big of a deal. And I'm sure it has to do with the packaging or whatever. Something to keep it safe on the journey. And I'm happy with that. So another right out of the box. I'm coming to you from the future. I forgot to pull these down. Found out an articulation when the arms weren't moving and stuff. So anyway, there it goes. We're going to get into accessories, but before we get into accessories, I just kind of want to show how they're packed in with XTransbots, and just using the packaging like this. It's really smart use of the packaging, and it keeps everything safe. So it's pretty cool, and it's pretty interesting how they went about doing it. Okay, so getting into accessories, as you can see, XTransbots has a ton of accessories and faces, extra figures, some more stuff. And FansToys seems to have included 2, 4, 6, 7 extra heads, 2 additional faces to go with them. So really, it's kind of crazy how much is going on there. So getting into it, let's just go ahead and focus on one at a time. So with the XTransbots offerings, here are the mini figures. And I did kind of take a look at this in my last Perceptor review that I just did, but they've got a little bit of articulation. I'm just not going to press it too hard. Just very little limited articulation. And this is why, because they can fall off. Very fragile because they're so small and they're XTransbots. But yeah, I'm barely going to pose them, just enough to make them stand. And just be happy that they're standing. Because the thing is that they're very fragile. Now, getting into these heads, you do have an IDW head, I'm guessing, or 2 different versions of IDW head, and then you've got like more of a Toon accurate one, and then you've got all of those faces that we showed before. Now, getting into these guns, it's interesting that they have this little setup to where you can clip the guns in and build them and sort of build his rifle and all that. Now, that's why I don't have it on his hand just yet, because I was going to go ahead and build it. So let's see. I don't believe any of this is painted, so let's get this put in here like so, and get it in his hand. Building this missile launcher here, so this is kind of cool. And he's not gonna be able to hold all of them. He doesn't have 3 hands, unless I'm wrong. Then slide this thing out. That's in there tight, real tight. Maybe I'm wrong, and this is painted because it did leave a little bit of paint behind. It is a functioning missile launcher. To be honest, I don't know how many people like that, but I think it's cool. So then he's got his little hand pistol here, which is pretty cool also. So pretty cool, pretty interesting. What's going on? Let's get this in his hand. And they go in the hand using the tabbing system, so works good. And we also got a blast effect, so that's kind of cool, kind of fun. Nice little add-in. He does have a wine glass, a shot glass, and a pipe. No, he's got, I don't know, some chemistry set going on here, so it's pretty cool. It's interesting how all of this is set up, just extra add-ons and display options. They're cool, but they don't really sell me. As for FansToys accessories, let's move some heads around here and get a look at all of these heads. So there's a ton of them. Technically 2, 4, 6, 7 extra heads. Now, I'm going to talk to you real quick on why I think they did all these extra heads. And I think they did the extra heads because the 1.0 had a terrible head. Now, I don't think that this will fit on the 1.0, but I think maybe you can swap out the faces with the 1.0. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't really know. But now with so many options out there, I'm sure there's a way. I don't have my 1.0 anymore. I sold it off a while back while he still had some value. And now I'm buying these guys. So maybe that is an option. Maybe that's something that's out there, but I haven't heard anyone talking about it. And I don't have a 1.0 to try to figure it out. So I guess I'm not going to know for a while. Anyhow, if anyone has done that, that would be awesome to know in the comments. There's also the rocket launcher here. Doesn't fire, but this moves, so like it comes out. So that's cool. It's shipped with it in there. You also have the extra chest plate, which I'm not going to bother with because I like the clear one better. So we're going to go with that. And we also have the gun. Now this stuff is well painted. I would say all of the red is painted for the FansToys. So I like that, and that really works. Changing out a FansToys head is a lot like changing out the MP-44, and I like that. This is a good way to do it. So let's just slap the original on there. I don't like when you have to unscrew them and all that. This is a really good option. It's a really great way to do the heads accessory. So I'm down with that, and that looks pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Let's try one more. We don't need to look at them all. I mean, we could see them, but I'm not going to swap them all. Let's just get one of these, I guess, IDW ones on here. And that does look pretty cool too. So really awesome. I love this head swap gimmick. So here's a better look at the XTransbots faces. We've got a kind of a yelling face, a stoic ×2 faces, and then a funny face. Anyway, there's those faces. All right, so looking at both of these guys side by side, I do want to say they both actually look really good. So before we get into articulation and all of that good kind of stuff, they both look great. They both work well on a shelf. Now, this guy looks beefier and chunkier. This guy here looks a lot thinner. And in some frames, a lot more like the animation. So FansToys is a little closer to the animation when it comes to, I guess, the overall size of the figure. But I still like the way this beefy one looks. I think that looks great as a figure on the shelf. And a lot of people are like, well, but this is more like the animation accuracy. And FansToys is a little bit taller. One of the things I do like about the FansToys better is the clear chest. I mean, it's the way it was on the G1. And over here, you don't get that option. So not so great. I do like that they both have a bit of a metallic sheen to them, but the red pops so much more over here, even though this red looks nice. This red looks nice, but the way the paint is, I don't know if they put a like extra clear coat or a gloss, but it just looks like a deep metallic red versus this one here. It's a little bit shiny, just sort of shiny. But the funny thing is that the blue is deep metallic on here and it's more flat right here. So it's kind of an interesting way that FansToys is going with their paint and their paint scheme and overall, but both of them look good. I think either option aesthetically will fit on your shelf. It would fit on mine, but this one does cost $90 more. So at Show Z, I believe still the price $130 here, and this one would be $220, maybe $230 now. I'm not sure. I'd have to check the prices. I'll have the links down below. But with that, that's between $90 and $100 difference between two of these, and we're going to see as we go if it's really worth that price. So looking at it from the side view, bit beefier here, a lot thinner right there. And so they both look pretty clean though. One thing is I'm having trouble getting this to close all the way. I don't think I had that problem right when I got it, but I've been messing with them for about 2 weeks now. And so a couple things keep popping out on them here and there. I probably should have left that. So getting to the back, really nice and clean on the back there. So that does work, both of them. You could argue that FansToys is even cleaner than XTransbots, but I'm not really 100% versus, just kind of showing them since they're side by side and we're doing them at the same time here. And there it is. I mean, I don't think that any one of them is much cleaner than the other. I think they both look great and they both have a great cleanness to them. Just, this is kind of getting on my nerves. I'm going to have to mess with it. When I transform it back, hopefully that goes away and it goes flat again, but kind of a pain there. All right, so getting into articulation, head up, and this is like hardware. This isn't a ball joint. So side to side, it is on a mushroom peg, and you should be able to slide it out to swap heads. I didn't try. I actually tried, and it gave me a little bit too much resistance. I was like, I don't want to break it today. So just, it's not that big of a deal to me. Shoulder goes all the way out like this on friction. So there it is. You do have the bicep swivel right here at this point, and what looks to be a pretty good double jointed elbow. So good articulation going on right there. Down with the waist. I want to say that I think we have to do something with this to get better waist articulation, the swivel and all of that. And then you do have this right here. So it's pretty much the same thing on both of these guys when it comes to the waist articulation. Now, when it comes to the legs, it's a little bit different. XTransbots is going to the next level with it, with the hiding of the hip flap. So if you can see that, it's the hidden hip flap. I like that. I do like that. MP-44 is where I first noticed it. I think it did come out a little sooner than that. You do have friction out to the side. And, you know, a lot of people saying that their legs are floppy. Mine aren't yet. But, I mean, things can change. You can go this far to the back on a soft ratchet there. So that does work. Now, with this is the part where this separates people having problems. I'm not having problems just yet. So we do have this universal, well, thigh? Yeah, nice thigh. And we have double joint, a bit of a double joint right here. Maybe it isn't all the way double jointed. It feels like it is. And then the feet, the whole foot moves, and you got some toe articulation, all that kind of stuff. So real similar to what we're going to get with the FansToys. So looking at the FansToys one, the head up, down, left and right. So very, very similar in that department. The shoulder, you will have to, this kind of impedes it. So let me get that popped up. I just do it behind the camera so I don't scratch anything. So anyway, popped it up, and then you can kind of move it like that, I guess, if that's what you want to get your full range. Again, I don't usually put them in such dynamic poses that I need all of that, but you know, that's tight. You can hear it too, and I don't mind hearing it. You know, it being tight like that, you know, it's tight. You know, it's in there good. So now I'm having trouble getting this guy back over. Okay. Anyway, all the way around, you got the pull these down. You know what? I didn't pull these down initially. So, wow. So now it looks a little bit better. You got, once you pull that down, you should be able to have that bicep swivel in there. And then double jointed right there. Or not double. Is that double? Well, it's good. I think I might know. I hope I don't scratch any paint on that thing. Okay. Anyway, getting down to the waist. Now there is something about this where you can put this little tab down and put the red tab into there. Now I'm not one that really wants that. This is tabbed in here pretty good too. So, but when we get to transformation, I'm not going to show that. So you can put the red tab in here. It gets in the way of this waist piece, and it sort of gets in the way of this ab crunch, which you can get an ab crunch. And you could actually take this apart and get a whole lot more of an ab crunch out of it, but I'm not really too worried about it. Old school hip flap, and we're going super old school with that flap. And forward to the side. Ooh, that is nice and tight to the side like that. And to the back. And then of course we have the thigh swivel, and we have the double jointed knee right there, get you some range. The foot, pretty much the same as the XTransbots and the toe moves. So So good articulation, feels really solid. Styrofoam falling off, and I like that. So getting into some comparisons, this is the G1, and one of the things is the G1 had the thicker arms, so sort of matches over here. Let's kind of take this arm out of that pose so we can get a little bit more of an idea here. So next to the G1, they both kind of look good. It's just, again, I always say this, but it's amazing how far we've come. But with Perceptor very specifically, he looked a lot more like the on-screen counterpart than 90% of the Transformers back in the G1 era. He already was pretty good. He was already pretty well articulated for a figure, and just to make these improvements and go this much further, it feels really good. Here they are next to the MP-44 Silver Leg Edition, and I gotta say, this is a pretty good scale. It's a pretty good size. FansToys being just a little bit taller, maybe I kind of lean towards that little bit taller, but either one of them look great on the shelf next to Prime. Look at all that red. And I do kind of like, now looking at this is just kind of reddish orangish, is real close. Now this is the KO, but this is real close to that color. I kind of like that color. Just a little bit of a contrast, probably pops a little better on the shelf. Here they are examining Dead Prime. This is the dead version of the MP-44, the KO, which they are giving us all of these different color variations. And with the new upgraded flat chest, we'll see how that goes in the future. Here they are next to MP-36, where Megatron is working on peace, of course, his own way, through tyranny. Just want to point out, this one here is the Transform Element version of Mirage, and I think this one looks great, and that's how it stacks up. I actually thought this guy was a pretty tall Carbot, but now next to these guys, he does look kind of short. And next to the Robot Paradise, or the FansToys Acoustic Wave, Sound Wave, and a bit shorter, both of them, like they probably should be scale-wise next to the nice looking Soundwave. And this looks pretty good. So FansToys here, these offerings, I think these were about the same price. I'm starting to forget, it's been a bit, but I think they were both offered at the same price. And this is a Deformation Space Thundercracker next to them, just so how big Deformation Space is. These actually scale a little bit closer to what Takara did. So if you look, they're almost the same size as Takara's Starscream. So if you want to see how big is the new Seeker, and you get one of these two new ones, that's about how big Starscream is. So that's a pretty good, interesting comparison point. Okay, so here they are in the alt mode, and I have to say that both transformations have their own negatives to it. So both transformations, I feel like you're scraping the paint. Both transformations seem to have some sort of negatives to it. So getting down to it though, you get to see the build quality difference between the two. And this is where I really do feel like FansToys is built better, built stronger. I never really felt like anything would break. A whole bunch of points where I felt like this guy could break. And he's a little unstable. You got to kind of have a balance right. So there's pluses and minuses, but here's the thing. Both modes look pretty decent. Both modes look pretty good. So straight on, there is the view and the difference between the two of these, and they both look good. Now, this one here has that feature where you can zoom in, and you know, just like how FansToys will take an XTransbots and they will look at the engineering and say, how can we do the same thing except make it better? I mean, you know that's going on. That's what they did with Cyclonus. But with this, you know FansToys had this in the works a lot more. And this also has like a give if you go too far. Just really feels so quality, everything about it. Moving to this side here, the little wheels down there to hold it in place. So side by side, that's kind of how they look. And they do look pretty good. Like I like the chrome here versus silver paint though. So I like the chrome here versus the silver paint there. So there's things to like about each one and the difference. But this mechanism, this whole armature mechanism here, feels a little strange and fiddly. And this piece feels so solid, just really solid. So let's see the straight back part now. Again, I might have something a little wrong. This piece sticks out, and I don't know. Maybe I don't have this slid in just right. It's an interesting slider mechanism, but FansToys looks so much cleaner. It just does. It does look a more clean aesthetic, a clean look to it than the XTransbots. But still, both of them look great. So not the end of the world or anything. So there's that goes. So FansToys does incorporate some weapon storage here, and so that works really well. So there's just again, you're risking some paint scrapage a little bit, but it seems pretty smooth. It's like it's not one of those really tight things like you usually have it with FansToys. It's just some really tight stuff. So, but all in all, I think they both look good. I think this is where FansToys starts to outshine XTransbots when it comes to hardware and transformation and all that good stuff, and it feels solid. But still, I did look it up. This is right now $129 on XTransbots. This one is $199. It says sold out, but it also says incoming, meaning that they're probably got more on the way. So when it says incoming, that doesn't mean it's over. It means there's more coming on the way. So I will have the links down below for those. But this, side by side, there it goes. Really think I think the only real comparison here should be to G1. So there it is next to G1. He's got a big old fat microscope piece going on there. It takes 18 seconds to transform it. A lot of fun. I mean, those were the good old days, but these look better overall. Still, I mean, really solid microscope mode for back in the day. And that 10-year-old sticker I just put on it doesn't want to stay. Now, I'm not really going to do the tank mode because I don't like the idea of the tank mode. I'm not going to utilize it. And the more you do with these, the more paint chipping, paint scratching, and I think less than 5% of people are going to do that. I should have learned my lesson going to the base mode with the trailer for XTransbots for Minosaur, so I learned my lesson. So look at this side by side. They both look good. They both look great. XTransbots has a couple more options to make it elevate and stuff like that. So not a big deal to me, and some people are going to be ecstatic. You know, 5% of people are ecstatic that they have that mode, but for me, not a big deal. All right, so this has been my look at the FansToys Tesla 2.0 and Janssen from XTransbots, and these Perceptors both look good. So what do I think about it? What are the good and the bad points? Well, obviously the price. So FansToys is more expensive. Almost $100 more, like $90 more, but with the XTransbots, you get a whole bunch more accessories with all of these little minifigures. Both of them aesthetically, I think, work and fit the bill, and aesthetically, I would be happy with either one. Now, I do feel that overall, FansToys is built a little bit better. I don't think it's leaps and bounds better like a whole lot of people are saying, but then again, some people got some bad copies. Some people got a broken XTransbots in the mail. So, I mean, with that would taint my view also, but mine wasn't broken showing up in the mail, and with all of this, I do feel like, yes, XTransbots loosens up over time after you mess with it. The more you mess with it, the more it loosens up. If you get it, pull right out of the box, put it on the shelf, you'll probably be the most happy with it. And with FansToys, all that paint is kind of hard not to scratch, but I do think the paint is better. It is a higher level, higher top notch. I don't know, and I'm sure that has to do with the price. I mean, you got to pay more to have a better high quality paint job. I'm sure that has something to do with it. I also like more with the FansToys that has that clear plastic. So a lot of people are going to say, well, which one would you pick? So if I could pick one, it's complicated, but if they were the same price, I'd pick the FansToys. That's all there is to it. But at $100 less, I really can't see $100 more value in the FansToys. So with all of that, I think that it's really up to you. A budget option right here that works great, a higher end option that's slightly better in build quality, less accessories and all that kind of stuff. The one I pick is both. I'm not getting rid of either one. I'm going to keep both. I'm going to have a link to where you could get both of these down below. And from Show Z, like and subscribe. Titanium Hanger out.